Okay, let's start again. Hello, everybody. Today is Saturday, March 27th, 2021. Welcome to our Contract Trust Conference Call number 117. We are not accountants, tax professionals, lawyers, or currency dealers. We're not engaged in rendering legal, tax, accounting, or other professional advice. Should you require those services, you should retain competent advice from a professional in that field. Well, thank you for joining us today. As most of you know, my name is Carol Werelius, and my associate Jim Knox and I have these calls every second and fourth Saturday of the month. These calls are recorded and available on our website, www.indicatorinformation.com, iqdcalls.com, and YouTube. As we get closer and closer to our expected event, we thought this would be a good time to review our common law contract trust and why we think it is the best vehicle for you to protect your assets. We will devote at least half of this call to Q&A, so get your questions ready. As always, your questions are welcome. Star 6 to raise your hand. Many questions arise as we wait for our turn. What do I need to do? Do I really need a trust? Who manages the trust? How do I get started? And those are all very, very valid questions. The common law contract trust that we provide will protect your assets from those who wish to take it away from you. From a practical, thoughtful standpoint, you need a trust to protect your assets. From a banking perspective, you must have a trust or other entity if you are to receive more than $1 million. So the question becomes, what kind of trust do you need? We've all heard about all kinds of different trusts: revocable, irrevocable, grantor, non-grantor, statutory law, common law, and the bank skeleton trust. So let's quickly review those terms. Revocable means someone, a judge for instance, could say revoke that trust and pay the person that is suing you. Irrevocable means no one, not even the judge, can tell you that. The assets are the property of the trust and not yours personally. Grantor means you have given or gifted assets into a trust. Non-grantor, in the context we use it, means you have irrevocably exchanged your assets into the trust. Statutory law means it gets its power and privilege typically from state legislatures. It can be changed as lawmakers see fit. Common law is based on the law of contracts and is guaranteed by Article 1, Section 10 of our U.S. Constitution. Skeleton trusts, as I understand them, are statutory revocable grantor trusts. The real downside to these is the bank will more than likely become your partner, and I don't think that's a good way to go, and I think most of you would agree with me. Let's see where we are. We are here. And they're really having problems this morning. I apologize. Some people think the common law is no longer valid in the U.S. Well, common law is alive and well. As I understand it, the global currency reset is about more than the money. If, as we've heard, Nasera and Jacera are announced soon afterward, we will once again flourish under common law. Statutory law consists of millions of laws. They change every year and are so numerous and complicated that they require well-paid lawyers to keep up with them. They have created a whole industry of lawyers that parasite off society because of it. Such laws are generally designed to benefit the few at the expense of the many, the lawyers, the politicians, the big corporations, and the cabal's favorite interests, of course. Legal entities set up under statutory law are subject to those millions of laws, require expensive and complicated legal expertise to defend them. They have to be registered in your state every year, and you have to pay an annual franchise fee. Common law, by contrast, has been around for millions of years and will continue to be around for millions of years, and it rarely changes. It's basically don't lie, don't steal, don't violate the rights of others. It is the closest thing to natural law or universal law that is active in human affairs. It is still the underlying authority of all law and is now returning in force. Excuse me. Trusts and legal instruments that are created under common law have far greater freedom. They are subject only to the common law and are thus sovereign and immune from the ever-changing statutory laws. They can go on generation after generation, well into the golden age, and flourish because what they're based on is timeless. The common law trust upon which ours is based has been adjudicated by the Ninth Circuit Court of the United States versus Dahlstrom 713 F. 2nd 1423 in 1983, in which the government's own expert witness, Carl K. Krogh, testified that the trust organizations created by the defendants were valid legal entities. Indicator information is licensed to use the form and method perfected by the defendants of the above-cited case. Also, on occasion, the courts have called common law trusts, or UBOs, contractual companies. An explanation of their function can be found in Smith v. Anderson, Chancery Division 247, back from 1880. The Smith decision establishes the validity and viability of these contractual companies under the English common law jurisdiction beginning in 1880. The Smith decision has never been reversed, nor has its importance been nullified by passing and negating statutes in the United Kingdom or in any other common law jurisdiction in the world. So you ask, well, how do I get started? These common law trusts are actually contracts in trust format. And since one cannot contract with him or herself, we use a third party to facilitate it. That person is the creator. The creator initiates the contract by accepting your assets and exchanging them for $21 and 100 trust certificates. And we'll talk a little more about that exchange later. The creator then appoints the first trustee. He or she can appoint anyone they feel is best suited to manage those assets. Considering you were smart enough to purchase those assets and smart enough to protect them with the contract trust, who do you think the creator of will appoint as the first trustee? And to most of you, that's pretty logical. More often than not, the creator will appoint you as the first trustee because you were the initiator of the action. Once the creator has completed these two tasks, he or she is released from all future responsibility, duties, authority, or liability regarding the trust organization. Now, a lot of you tell me, Ed Jim, well, I don't know. I don't have any relatives. I don't have any close friends. I don't know who's going to do this for me. What do I ask people? We typically say just tell somebody, you must have a friend somewhere, that you are doing some estate planning and it needs a third party and would they help? And tell them again they only have to sign a few pieces of paper and they have no future responsibility, duties, authority, or liability after that. Once they appoint the first trustee and they sign minute number 2, they are totally out of the contract. So now that you are a trustee, if you wish, you may appoint a second trustee. And you must appoint a successor trustee. That is someone to take over the management of the trust upon your demise. You or your second trustee cannot rule from the grave. It must be somebody different, typically an adult child. Very often we see applications with yourself as trustee, maybe your spouse as second trustee, and then naming your spouse again as successor trustee. Like I said, you cannot rule from the grave, so the successor trustee has to be somebody different. It can be the creator, because they will be stepping back into a different role. Once the trust is signed in front of a notary, it is in full force and effect. You and your second trustee, if you have one, pledge your best efforts on behalf of the trust organization. Recently, I got an email from a client we've had for a long, long time, and she originally started out with Jim Jenkins, who most of you may recognize was my mentor in all of this. Somewhat got me started. And there are a few differences in the trust that you receive from Jim and the trust you receive from us. They are essentially the same with different formatting. One major difference is Jenkins always called the trust a BTO, for Business Trust Organization. Although our trusts are also business trust organization, we have decided to drop the word business from the title. It has caused confusion, especially with bankers when trying to open a banking account, because they'll ask you for your state paperwork, where's your this, where's your that. We are not required to register in any state at any time unless we are actively running a business. So we don't have that paperwork, so that's why we drop the word trust. So another difference in Jenkins Trust calls for the exchange of $10 in 100 trust certificate units. Ours calls for $21 and 100 trust certificate units. So, Jim, would you like to speak about the certificates for a little bit?
Sure. First off, welcome aboard, everybody. It's going to be a fun trip when this thing finally hits. Okay, so the Constitution for the United States of America says that any debt over $20 is entitled to a jury trial. Well, the closest thing we'll get to a common law trial is a jury trial. If you have a jury trial, you have the right and actually the obligation to try and convince the jury of the facts. So when I saw that, originally $10 way back when, I changed it to 21, and we've been using that ever since. And the certificates of beneficial interest are just reflective of your exchange. They do not give you a corporate value because it's not a corporation. They are not something you can tender like corporate stock. They simply indicate that you have exchanged certain properties into the trust. Therefore, you'll have certificates of beneficial interest. Now, that doesn't mean you can't get the trust can't give you money. I'm just saying that that's how they're designed. For a corporation, the stock is transferable. In the trust, it's only transferable if the trustee decides to move the certificate to somebody else. Generally, when that happens is when you're going to divide the 100 trust units into, instead of 250s, for example, if there was a husband and a wife that were the trustees and the investors, they would have 50 units apiece. Let's say you want to add one of your children. So you take one of the certificates, or all the certificates, and you turn them back in to the trust. You void them, and you reissue new certificates in whatever denomination you would like. And then the process is very simple. You simply write void. You go to the trust. You find the page that's got certificates. You say in there, basically you write a line saying that they are voided, and then you reissue everything. And in the trust, when you receive it, is a blank certificate. It doesn't have the gold stuff around it. It's not on the pretty paper. It's just the basic information. You can simply get your certificates, and on our website we tell you where to buy the certificates, the exact numbers, they're identical. And you take the blank certificate and you put on the platen, the glass of your copier, and you copy that onto the certificate. Depending on your printer, you have to either have them face up or face down. You'll figure it out. And there you go. It's that simple. So you can rearrange the number and the amount of certificates you want to issue. That's pretty much all I can tell you about that. Carol?
Well, one of the questions that I got was, for some of these people that got Jenkins Trust and they call for $10 and ours calls for $21, can they change it? Do they need to change it?
They can. Do they need to change it? By law, no. But by theory, yes. I would.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, so those of you that are concerned about that, and I know there are maybe a handful, for all the people that have Jim Jenkins Trust and are happy with them, but those of you who are concerned about the $10, just give me a buzz or an email and we'll see what we can do for it.
Okay,
so,
one more thing on
else?
the $21.
Sure.
One more thing on the $21. We only have currency. We don't have money. The Constitution says we should have money, gold and silver. Well, since we don't have money, all we have is currency, I've always used silver certificates. And you can buy them at numismatic coin stores. It depends on how tattered they are. You can get them for just right at face value or just a smidge above. I have a couple of people I go here that have numismatic coin shops, and I buy all their junk, their bills. They're tore up. They got stains on them, whatever. I don't care. So I just buy the base value of $21 in silver certificates. Of course, remember now, they're going to be put in an envelope and they're going to be attached to the trust, never to see daylight ever again, unless you get drugged to court for any reason and you want to prove that you're entitled to a jury trial. You drag out the $21 and show them in the trust it says 21. Here's the 21 lawful dollars, because it's still lawful. You can still spend them. But since you can't get gold or silver according to the Constitution for the United States of America, you can use these and say, this is my best effort to try and comply with the Constitution. And that will get everybody's attention. So that's why I always tell people get $21 worth of silver certificates, or if you want, you can put 21 silver coins in there or enough gold to cover it, but it's a lot cheaper and easier to move around if you just use the silver certificates. So that's what I do.
Okay. Do you have any other comments, anything else on your mind that you'd like to talk about?
Well, not on that subject. I mean, I think that we beat that one up pretty good, and I think everybody understands the whole reason for this is we're trying to comply with the organic laws of the United States for America. Notice I've not said of America. I'm saying for America.
Yeah. Would you like to explain that to the...
Sure. The organic Constitution is United States for America. United is not capped. The word state is capped. Or is not capped. America obviously is capped. This was a group of states for America. And then in the 1800s, we got taken over and they created a corporation called the United States of America, all uppercase, which is a corporation, which is now defunct as of, I think it'll be almost a year ago. Last June, I think it's the 18th, it was declared invalid. So we are actually back on the real organic Constitution. So we are technically now not a democracy. We are a republic once again. So I'm sure that's controversial to a lot of people, but we have a lot of evidence to prove that that's true. If you want it, send it to me an email. I'll send it to you. And I think that that's pretty much all we need to add to that. I was just on I'm on our website right now in the office here and looking around, and a couple things I want to add to the website, but we do have all the calls here, and we've not recorded every one of them. There's over 100 of them. I've got about a third of them recorded, and they will be in our database shortly, maybe another couple weeks. So you can pull them up, and you don't have to go to the IQD calls in case they get taken down. We'll have them. That's the only two things I really wanted to talk about today.
Okay.
Questions, I guess?
We have some questions.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, here we go. Good morning, Helene. How are you today?
Very well. Good morning, guys. I have a few questions that I think will help everyone. First of all, I have, of course, the Motherlode Trust, which has an EIN number. When I form the rest of the trusts, like the real estate trust, the vehicle trust, the maintenance trust, is there going to be an EIN number for those as well, or can I use the EIN number for the Motherlode?
No. No, you can't. The Motherlode EI is only for it, and what we recommend is we've created this thing called a management trust. It would have an EI number. Your real estate trust, your automobile trust, and just about any other trust will not have an EI number. It's not necessary because it's not doing banking. So the scenario would be this. Post-RV, you have the money in the Motherlode Trust. You've got a bank account, and you want to create a real estate trust, and you want to fund it, and you want to buy a house. So we create the real estate trust. There's a contract between the real estate trust and the Motherlode Trust, and a contract between the real estate trust and the management trust. One of the things that's in that contract is when the money is to be exchanged to the real estate trust, which is when the Motherlode is the creator, so it funds the real estate trust. That's when you're like moving the money. It actually moves it to the management trust on behalf of the real estate trust, because now the management trust is going to be writing all the checks. Same with an automobile trust. Okay. So you have to have at least two EI numbers in this case. You have to have one for the Motherlode Trust to have the primary bank account, and then you need another one for the management trust to have as many bank accounts as it wants. It acts like an escrow company. You can have one account, or you can have multiple accounts.
Okay. Good. I'm happy to hear that. The other question I have is how do you renew the trust in 25 years?
It's very simple. You just write a minute. There's a sample minute on the website. You say the Board of Trustees has convened and had a meeting, something to that effect, and that since the 25th year is upon them, they decided to extend the trust for an additional 25 years. You date it, sign it, put it in the binder. That's
okay, simple. And then also, how do I find an attorney, I live in Arizona, that practices constitutional law? Now,
that's an oxymoron.
I have, well,
I mean,
from what I
don't know of any that Elaine, I don't know of anybody, any attorney right now. I've not met any, and I know a lot of them. My ex-business partner, John, that passed away a couple years ago, he dealt with attorneys. He had a business, and he what he was is an individual that set up all the attorney offices with all their computers and everything. We never found anybody that could do that. And John was my business associate, also in the trust business. He never found an attorney that was worth their salt when it came to that. So I don't think you're going to find one until after we go through this transition where they'll be forced to learn common law. Otherwise, they can't function.
Okay, now I did see, I don't know if it was on Instagram or where I saw it, but I did take a picture of it, of a law firm, and I think they're down in the south of the U.S. that states that they do practice common law. So maybe I should reach out to them.
Find that and send it to me. I'll talk to them too. See if I can make sure they're going to do the right job. So,
okay, great.
Any other questions?
I think for right now that's it. Thank you so much, and welcome back, Jim.
Thank you, Elaine. Appreciate that.
Okay, we have another caller here. Hey, Sandy, what's up today?
Well, I thought I took myself off because you answered my question. I happen to be one of Jim's, quite a few. I have his tree of people, and so I've got a bunch that need to be changed. So I would
just contact me privately. Okay?
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
I'm sorry. I thought I took myself out. Sorry.
No problem. Okay. All right. Area code 630.
Yeah, hi, Carol. This is Bob from Michigan. I'm
hi, Bob.
calling from a different phone, so are you getting an echo here?
Yeah, no, I'm fine. I can hear you.
Okay. People with $10.
Now I have an echo.
All right. Okay. How's that?
No,
Hello?
keep talking. Yeah, that sounds okay.
Okay. Yeah, something I'm confused as far as what I believe about the $10 versus the $21. Now, I gave my creator $10 when actually he created the trust. It was an exchange, I believe, at that point, and it was notarized and everything. So now, Jim, you're saying that the $21 is to be put in the trust? I thought that went to the creator.
Well,
no, the creator gives it to you.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Jim. Go ahead.
Well, I would say that money should have been put in the trust because that was to be evidence that somebody got paid to put the trust together. It's not the creator's money. The 21 lawful dollars stays with the trust, in my opinion, and it should be there. And as evidence, he tried to follow the law, but it was impossible because we didn't have money. We only had currency, which is a huge difference. So I'd say it should be in the trust. Carol, do you agree or disagree?
Oh, totally. The preamble of the trust is the exchanger exchanges the assets of the trust with the exchanger for $21 and 100 trust certificate units. So even though it sounds backwards, the creator actually pays the exchanger and the money goes into the trust. I typically recommend when you do this that you offer to take your creator out to lunch or whatever, so they're not out the $21. Or you give them the $21 ahead of time, and he gives it back to you, so you can put it in the trust. You don't want them to be out the money, so you pay them ahead of time, or if you take them out to lunch, take them out to dinner, whatever.
Okay, I was thinking backwards on that.
No, a lot of people are running into that. It's a good question. All right. Anything else?
Second question. When we put most of us will have a substantial amount of money to be put into the trust. Aren't the banks have to be leery of the banks and having too much money in an account like that, or is that only for people without EIN numbers or individuals? Like, is there a problem that the banks may invest it and lose it, and you can lose your money if it's all in the one account?
Well, that brings up a couple of things, right, Jim? That's why they want to have a non-interest-bearing account.
Right. So if you allow them to use your money, yes, but that's why you want a non-interest-bearing account, because they can't make any money off your money, as I understand it. So we want to make sure that we have our money set up to where it can't be used. First off, you do not want your motherlode account used for any trading purposes. You do not want it on the main screen so nobody can see it. Can you imagine a teller seeing your $175 million or whatever your number may be in your account? No. So what I'm doing, when I set this one up for me, I'm going to say, look, not trading purposes. I don't want any interest paid to the account. I don't want you using my money. If you want to charge me for that, that's fine, but I don't want you messing with my money. I only want the wealth manager and I to be able to see it at the wealth manager's office. And when I get ready to move money from my motherlode account to create other trusts, I want to physically go to my wealth manager's office and do it there. So I don't want anybody seeing what I'm doing. And the only way to do that is insist that this is not a public account. Make sure it's very, very private.
Okay.
That's how I'm going to do it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had heard that before, and I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
You bet.
You're welcome. Okay, let's see. Gary, how are things in Arizona today?
60 degrees right now, but it'll be 80 by this afternoon.
Oh, okay.
and 90 tomorrow. But my question is, we've mentioned in the past about having the president of the trust buy a property so your name isn't on it. I've looked on the website trying to find out where that information is, and I can't find it anywhere.
Well, it's really not on the website at this point. It's just it's in the trust. It's if you look at the trust,
it's not in the trust unless they ask for it.
Well, it's in the trust. You just have to write a minute for it. It's in the trust.
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean, yeah. But we do have a minute for it, Gary. Yeah.
Okay. Well, get that to me, and I'll make sure I put it up today. I don't have it on there right now.
Okay.
All right. I'm making a
I just had something on my phone, and I lost the last 15 seconds of your conversation, so I don't know if you said something or what.
Always said what a bad person you are. That's all we said. Just a terrible.
Jim, I haven't had my coffee yet today.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
What we said was we will put a minute on the website.
Yeah, we'll put it on today.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Well, there's nobody else in line, Jim. What else do you want to talk about?
Well, other than I need to get the heck out of Oregon, right now I'm listening to my neighbor's dogs barking, and they won't do a thing about it. It goes like this all day. And the state of Oregon doesn't have any laws that deal with noise abatement. Can you believe that? You can have as loud a car as you want or as many barking dogs as you want.
That's really wild.
I know. I don't like Oregon. So anyway, let's talk a little bit more about how to use the trust. So let's just kind of go over that. So we have vehicle trusts, we have management trusts, we have all of these great trusts that people should be using as time goes forward. Well, now my computer is locked up. I tell you, I'm trying to pull up here in a second.
Yeah, well, yesterday my internet went down, so it's who knows what's going on in the world.
I know, it's kind of strange. My internet went down, and they brought me a new router. It's been working pretty good, but now my computer's locked up, and I have no idea why that's doing that. Anyway, let me see if I can get it to do what I...
Well, while we were trying to do that, we do actually have a few more questions here. So we can start with that. Yes, Elaine.
Hi. I remember last month, Carol, you had said something about multiple trusts. So my question is this. If I own 5 units of a condominium, instead of having to pay for 5 separate trusts, you said something about a combination, and the same thing with respect to like vehicles, multiple vehicles?
Well, that was the management trust. Each unit should be in its own trust that owns it, but one management trust will manage all 5 units. The same thing with multiple automobiles. They're all in their own trust, but one management trust will take care of all the monetary needs for them.
Okay. So
then we only need one bank account instead of 5.
So if I have 8 separate properties, that's 8 separate trusts.
Yes. The one management trust can take care of all of them.
Okay, but I pay the full for each and every one of those trusts. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, the price goes down after 4 of them.
Okay. Great. That's it. Thank you so much.
All right. You're welcome. Thank you. Sandy, you have a real question this time?
Yes, I do. But Jim, I want Jim to touch on it when he starts talking about management trust, on how what we're supposed to do if we don't have it yet and we have to get it later, how we take our mother load and add the management trust to it. Is that a question? Is that legit? I don't have my management trust, so
okay,
I have to wait. And it's been too long, and I have forgotten if there's anything special, or if we just call you and say, I need a management trust now. Is that all we have to do?
Yeah.
Besides sending money.
Yeah, Jim just came back on. Let me see if I can get him back in here. Jim?
Yeah.
Where are you? There you are. That was
I'm
weird.
Here.
Okay. So, you want to answer Sandy's question about multiple trusts?
Okay, I caught just a little bit of that. I don't know why my computer locked up and I lost it, so who knows? I guess I must have insulted Comcast. They'll teach me, right?
Exactly.
Okay, about the management trust, about multiple trusts, the mother load should be the creator, and then when it funds the other trust, if you're using a management trust, the money is diverted to the management trust by contract, and the management trust then pays all of the fees for buying the house, managing the house, utilities, taxes, so on and so forth. Same with an automobile trust, same with a boat trust. Remember, the only thing we can't put in trust is an airplane because of federal laws. It's really just a simple process. The contracts are 2 or 3 pages long, and we will have them available shortly. They are on the internet to a degree. We're going to clean them up a little bit more. We found a couple of things that we want to add to those to make them better. And it's just a resolution and then a couple of minutes, and that goes back and forth from trust to trust. to give the other trust instructions to what to do. So if you want to buy a house, you would have the mother lode trust would be the creator for the real estate trust, and then it would fund that trust, but it would divert the money to the management trust because the real estate trust does not have an EI number and it cannot open a bank account, where the management is set up just for that. That's its sole job. It's kind of like an escrow company. When you make your house payment, you make it to an escrow company, and they divvy up the money. Some goes to insurance, some goes to taxes, some goes to the mortgage. So you can have one account or numerous accounts in the management trust. I'm going to use probably one account initially, but I may break it up a little more later on. And I just make a nomenclature on the check what the amount is for, what trust is for, and so on and so forth. It's just going to keep it simple as possible. Does that kind of help you, Sandy?
Yes. I mean, basically, I just wanted to make sure that I don't have to do anything when I go open my mother lode account. Then I come back and I contact y'all, fill out the paperwork to apply for a management trust. And with that management, then I just go up to the bank and open up a management trust. That I don't have to actually do any other thing. Is that correct?
Well, it is correct. There are a couple things I'll add to that. So when you get the management trust, we will send you the contracts. You have to let us know, okay, this is the management trust. We set that up, and then it has an EI number. You have an abstracted trust, just like you do the mother lode trust, goes the same procedure, get the bank account opened up. Then when you get ready to do the real estate trust, for an example, as we've been talking about in this case, there would be a set of contracts that would be established to talk to the mother lode trust and also to talk to the management trust. Basically, the contract says, don't give me, the real estate trust says to the mother lode trust, don't give me the money, I don't have a bank account. Give it to the management trust on my behalf. And then the real estate trust has a contract to the management trust that says, make my payments, pay my bills, whatever you want to do. Whatever you decide you want to put in that little contract. And that's all that's really necessary.
Well, then let me ask you this. Even if we're not buying real estate but we will purchase an automobile, which needs its own trust. I mean, its own trust. We all probably should have a management trust just to take care of incidental things.
I would agree.
For instance, insurance on the car. Huh?
Right. I do. I agree, and that's exactly what I've done. I've got a trust. Does all my banking, and it's got an interesting name. It's called a Good Shepherd Trust, and it just takes care of all of my banking for all of my stuff right now, and it is a management trust.
Okay.
So,
whether we have real estate or anything, we really need the management. Okay. That's the way I saw it. Okay.
Well, the management trust is a good start. You don't need a whole bunch of secondary trusts. You just need a trust to manage the money. You need your secondary trust to be your real estate trust, your automobile trust, your boat trust, all that stuff. And so the whole idea is one bank account manages everything. Actually, in this case, two. You have the mother lode trust, but you don't touch it. You have the management trust, which has the contracts, the money in there, and that's where you do all your banking.
Okay. Thank you. That answered.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Good.
Okay. We have, let's see, area code 605. Sioux Falls?
Yeah, hello. It's Fred the Flyer. How are you?
We're well, Fred. How are you?
You always do well. Okay, so here's the thing. I got like three little questions. One, do you have any future stuff for more shields or books to be printed? I don't even know questions about them, but I love reading them.
Oh, my husband and I wrote those, back in the 90s. So I kind of doubt it.
All right, that works. Number two, I just want to reconfirm that because I do pay attention. Jim was saying for an airplane, we should put it into an LLC and then wrap it into a trust. I think that's correct.
Jim?
Good. And number 3, I was going to call. I was going to call.
Hang on. Jim went away again. That's weird. All right, hang on.
I'm right here.
No, well, you are, but Jim. Oh, there, you're there. Okay.
Gosh, these people abuse me terribly.
I think you're hiding.
I know.
Okay.
So the deal is yes. As I understand it, the law states that an airplane, they have to be able to get to the owner. In other words, if the airplane falls out of the sky, somebody's got to be liable directly, a human. So therefore, you can't put it in a trust. You put it into a corporation, LLC, whatever the people that are selling you the airplane suggest. Go with them. They'll get the thing set up. There's specific things you have to fill out. I mean, the forms are unbelievable. And then once you get the aircraft situated, then you can wrap it in a trust for financial purposes, but not for legal purposes.
Got it. That makes sense.
You can't get away from that part. That's on. But that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
I think
all the airlines have all their jets in trust, and we never be able to get a settlement when they make a mistake.
Right. Okay, and then number 3, I was going to call you, but I might as well just ask now. So are you going to be Florida bound? Because I'm going to have that captain seat open, and I'm going to need you to take a ride with me so I don't scare myself.
Who says we'll scare each other?
Well, okay.
Florida. Hopefully within the next 3 to 5 weeks, I should be living in Florida.
That's what my question was. We're still planning to go to that crazy town in the Villages. But I'm still looking at Pelagio, but then all of a sudden the Honda Elite is grabbing my attention for 430, and I'm thinking, yep, super fast. So I want you to get out of Oregon and into FL so that we can be closer together.
There you go. Well, I want to get out of Oregon no matter what. I mean, I would like to be in the East Coast for a while. I've only been in the East Coast on business. I actually had a condo there for a while, and I lived there, but not very often. I was going back and forth to our office in the Bahamas. But I enjoyed it, and I'm just figure it's time to get off the left coast and get to the right coast.
There you go. I'm with you. So we'll have a small little 7-seater with a toilet and a coffee bar, so hopefully that'll happen. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thanks again. And if you're asking about my weather, I finally stripped off my long johns and shit crap canned the snow pants in the closet. So
wonderful.
All right, thank you, family. Bye.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Thank you, Fred. Bye-bye. Okay. Veronica, you have a question today.
Yes, hi, Carol. Hi, Jim. I'm calling because I have that question about the vehicle trust. I spoke to to an insurance person. They said I cannot insure a trust. It has to be in somebody's name. So how do you do that? How do you put the vehicle? How do you operate with the vehicle trust? That's my question.
Well,
find another insurance agent.
Find another insurance company. My insurance company has no problem. I'm with State Farm. They know everything's in trust. As a matter of fact, the guy that runs the State Farm office I'm in, he's now a client of mine. So, find a different real estate. It's the insurance company. I was listening to what you said. Go ahead.
I was listening to what you said about the airplane. Maybe we should do the same kind of thing. I don't know. Is that applicable here or no? It's not necessary.
It's not necessary. I mean, think about how many cars and trucks are in company names someplace in the United States that they're all insured. There's a lot in trust, and they're insured. There's a lot in corporations, they're insured. LLCs are insured. Change companies. Just go to a different company.
Okay, all right.
Insurance company.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else, Veronica?
That's fine. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Well, there's nobody in the queue right now. I know everybody is getting very, very anxious about when this is going to happen. What do we do? How do we get informed, et cetera, et cetera. The news has changed so much just in the last couple of weeks. We've all been talking for a long time about exchange and redemption centers and 800 numbers, et cetera, et cetera. Now the 800 numbers seem to be, we're going to get a link to a safe website and get our 800 numbers from there. I don't know. It's still changing. What we're going to need, how much time we're going to have, I don't know. I would suggest, be prepared with your basics. You're going to need your ID. You're going to need some utility bills to prove where you live. You're obviously going to need your currency, and it's all supposed to be separated and wrapped accordingly, and you're supposed to have a tally sheet that goes with it. If you plan on asking for higher rates, you need to have some kind of project that you wish to share with them. I don't know. I asked somebody the other day, she was listening to a call, and she was listening to Bruce's call, and she gave me a little synopsis of it, and I asked her if she'd be willing to speak this morning. She said, well, I would, but what I read yesterday doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be valid tomorrow. So, and I have to agree with that. It's changing so much. All I can say is I really think we all really need to be prepared to go. Everything we're reading, the exchange centers, they got to be there now. I'm still hearing the end of this month, which is pretty close. Would be probably very fitting to have this happen between Passover and Easter. We'll see, but just be ready. And, whenever we get information, if we are allowed to share it, we will just put it on the website. We'll put out a blast email. The Eagle has landed. You know what to do, if we are allowed to do that. After that, we will not be able to speak about it because I know we'll be under NDAs. For that matter, I don't even know how long it's going to be before we come back with a call, because I just hate to run the risk for all of us that somebody says one of those no words and we're all in trouble. So we'll have to, Jim and I are going to have to play that one by ear and see how that's going to work out for us. But, it does really, really appear very close. Do you have anything to add to that, Jim?
Well, I've said for quite a while, and even though I got roasted for saying it, that it wouldn't be until after the first quarter of 2021, and that's only 3 days away. I might be right.
You might be
right. How about that? Yeah, the first time is, even a blind squirrel finds an acorn once in a while, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So today's the 27th. So the first is on Thursday. Wow, it's getting close.
Yeah.
Well, I don't care when it happens. Just get it done.
I agree.
Go for it this week.
I agree. Okay, we do have another. Go ahead.
Okay. No, I was going to say, go ahead.
We do have
ahead.
One more caller here.
Okay.
Elaine?
Hi, I'm sorry. Everything is bringing up more questions. From the news, the most recent news that we have received, it stated that we are able at redemption to take cash. I guess now they changed it up to $5,000. If we take the $5,000 cash just to tuck away for an emergency, do we do like minutes stating that the $5,000 cash that's taken out of the mother load, because I guess they're going to reduce it from the mother load, from the money that's in the mother load, and just put that it is being held in a safe or whatever?
It's not really necessary to do it, but it's okay to do it. As a trustee, you're entitled to have that cash on behalf of the trust any place you want it. It's part of your obligation as trustee. If they're going to give you $5,000 cash, take it, and it's dedicated to the trust because it is the trust money. It's not your money, and it just goes in the standard banking rules. And what I do is I have a spreadsheet, and I run this thing, and I look at mine every day. I know exactly where I'm at financially. And what I have is one for every one of my trusts, and I know exactly where I'm at. And I would just go to that spreadsheet because that's the evidence. It's kind of like the secretary's book of the trust, part of it. And I would just put in there that I took $5,000 cash from the Mother Lode Trust, and we'll hold it for incidentals and necessary items to benefit the trust. So it's not really, I don't think it's necessary to put a minute for that. Carol, do you agree with me on that?
I totally agree.
Yeah. It's an incidental situation, and we don't need to micromanage because, folks, these things are private. We just need to make sure that our successors know what our wishes were, what we were trying to do with this in case, or upon our untimely or timely demise, that they know what to do. So that's why you need records. And so I generally don't do a whole lot of minutes. I rely on my spreadsheets. That's my evidence of what I did. So I try and keep it as simple as possible.
Are these spreadsheets on the computer or are they handwritten? And when I use the management trust, I want to code it so I know which trust it applies to. So is there an accounting, some type of accounting company that online or that you can use to help keep track of everything? That way at the end of the month you can get like a circle that tells you this much went to this trust and this much went to that trust.
Yeah,
like
I mean there's 4 or 5 different accounting programs. Carol, which one did you use?
Quicken recently.
Yeah, Quicken. Quicken's one of them. There's a couple other ones. I just use spreadsheets. I like to
I think spreadsheets. I think spreadsheets are easy. Yeah.
Do you do the spreadsheets on the computer, or do you use it like through Microsoft or an Apple program?
No, I don't like going out there in the cloud. I'm really against having any programs in the cloud. Although nowadays, it's 100% of these people are going to the cloud because they can control you. I use
That's
Excel.
what I'm concerned about.
But I use Microsoft Excel, which is in my computer, and I set it up to where it backs up everything. My system is pretty complex. I have multiple hard drives. Everything backs up every night, and then on weekends it backs up to a server in my house, and then it also from there it backs up to another hard drive that's in an attorney's office. And so I have a lot of redundancy, and I just use Microsoft Excel, and I'll pull one up here real quick, and it's really just a simple process.
It's very easy.
Yeah, I mean, I've got all my bills, all my money that I've spent. I have January 2021, February, March, April, and then I have my list of the clients I'm working with right now. Then I have my monthly deductions, my annual deductions, and then I have my trust labeled in here for the 4 trusts that I have bank accounts with, and everything I do is in those. And so, for an example, with my I have all of my. Here's how I do it. Okay, so I have a date. First column is date. Second column is amount. Third column is the card I use. In other words, to be the trust. Then the debt that I'm paying, the amount paid, the date paid. Now the amount paid is generally what they bill me normally, and then the actual amounts after the date of actually what I did have to pay. Then on my monthly incidental purchases, I call monthly purchases, and I have 3 codes. I have my first name is one code, a cash word, the word cash is the second code, and the third one is GST, Good Shepherd Trust. And so that then links over to the Good Shepherd Trust account in in Excel, and registers all of my debts that I paid for. Then I have my annual purchases at the bottom. So I just use a spreadsheet. I have below all that, I have my income, my total monthly income, and the cash on hand, and the cash in savings. So I know exactly where I'm at all times financially. And it's just a simple spreadsheet. And if you want, I'll put something like this on our website.
That would be great, but I have Apple products, so I guess that would be under, I think, maybe numbers.
I don't know anything about the Apple system anymore. When I first met John years ago, I hired him. We were both into Apple computers, but then when we got into the trust business, there was no software made by Apple, so we ended up going to Microsoft, and I've regretted it ever since. And I'll probably switch to Apple when I move.
Yeah.
But
I think your question is correct. I think the program is called Numbers in Apple.
So I would imagine you could take. Go ahead.
Is there a VPN that you can recommend? Does the VPN slow you down? And do I do the VPN now pre-redemption versus post-redemption because of the NDAs and the information they may want? And if I put a VPN after the fact, they may think I'm trying to hide something?
Well, yeah, okay, on VPNs. For those that don't know, I built the website that we're using. I built all of our websites. So I have a little bit of knowledge on this stuff, just a little bit. And I use the Opera for my browser. And Opera has a built-in VPN that you can turn on and off.
What's it called? Opera?
No, Opera. Opera, like an opera. Some woman singing the opera. It's Opera. And I love it. I've been using it for 4 years now. I think it's the best platform to use. It's got good security built into it. I like the way it works. And for my search engine, I use DuckDuckGo, which is a very interesting program. But with Opera, it's got a built-in VPN, and you can do, and it's got the availability to attach the program like MailWasher Pro, and I can RoboForm is all attached to it. It works flawlessly with those. And then I also have a program that I'm running on it. It's called History Eraser. And I can go in there and I can do that. And, of course, then I also use CCleaner every day to clean all of the caches on my computer. So by the end of the day, there's no really traces left of where I've been because I can erase it all. Now, of course, the Internet will know where I've been because they know I visited, but there'll be nothing on my computer that will tell anybody where I've been. So I like Opera, use Excel for those two.
Okay, so it's O-B as in boy, E-R-A.
No, O is in opera, and P is in Paul, like a singer that sings the opera.
Oh, opera, okay.
Yeah, O-P-E-R-A.
And what's this cleaner you use?
It's called History Eraser. And it's an attachment that goes into Opera. It's free. You just click on it, and it loads it. And then I have a cleaner called CCleaner, C-C-L-E-A-N-E-R, CCleaner. And when you go in there, you open it up, and you can run and clean internet, cache, history, everything. Just clean it right out. So those are things that I'll put on the website.
Could you spell that again slowly, that name again?
Okay. It's CCleaner is two C's. C-C-L-E-A-N-E-R. It's like C and then cleaner.
Okay.
It stands for computer cleaner is what it stands for.
And is that part of Opera, or do you have to download that yourself?
Download that yourself.
Okay, so it's a
and I'll put it on the website. Under the new tab, folks, under the new tab, later today, let me get that started up here, right? Under the new tab, later today, I will go through and add this stuff. So I'm going to have to go through here and look that I see that a couple of things.
What's the name of the tab?
The tab is new, N-E-W.
Oh, okay.
And various ways of creating management. Okay, they've got a couple of links here that didn't work. I'll fix those. And I'll add it. It'll be the March 2021 new information. I'll add it later today. I've got a couple errands I have to run when I get off the call, so it'll be probably later this evening. I'll get it on there. Excuse me. And I will link Opera, CCleaner. I will link Best Crypt, which we've never really talked about. I will link anything I can think that might help everybody. BestScript is a program that we use. It's an encryption program. It's DoD 7 compliant, which means it's the highest grade you can get as a civilian. And all of our files are stored in that on our computers, so nobody can see anything. And it's a 256K algorithm, so it's virtually impervious to the average individual. Or we're past the top of the hour.
Is that on your main website?
It will be. It will be shortly. By this evening, I'll put everything on there.
Okay, great. Then I'll just wait till tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Helene.
You bet.
Okay, we've got a few more, Jim. It's 1 o'clock, but we've got questions, so I'm ready to hang in. So.
Let's go ahead. Do it.
Okay. Good afternoon, Una. How are you today?
No, I'm good. I wanted to find out about the management trust, right? Because I have my original trust, I'm assuming, would be my mother lode, right?
Yes.
So could I use that as the management trust?
No.
No, it's either the mother load or a management, not both.
Una, here's the deal: you don't want to have your mother lode trust subjected to anybody other than the wealth managers and you. The management trust is public; it's what pays all your bills.
Okay.
And
okay.
you don't want. Yeah, that would be a disaster if you were to let that out.
Okay. I see. I got it. Thank you.
Okay. And if you want to talk to me personally about it later on, we can go over. Just give me a call. You know how to get over.
Okay, good. Thanks. All right. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks. Okay. I think this is Raul.
It's Raul.
Here you go.
Hi.
Next one, I thought so. Okay. It comes up with a different name, but okay. Hi, Raul.
Hi there, Carol and Jim. Jim, I have a question for Jim. We're going to have this mother lode trust, a management trust, and a future real estate trust, and each one will have varying amounts of currency in them. Is this on your spreadsheet, Jim? Are these trusts in your spreadsheet with the amounts that they have in them?
Yes.
I hope. Okay, so
yes.
And go ahead.
Well, I keep them. It shows. Well, hold on a second. Excuse me. My spreadsheet shows the money that I started with, what I've spent, the money I take and put in it, the money I take out. It has everything. It's got the whole history of each one of my trusts. And it's stored in a BestScript file, so it's all, nobody can see it but me. And, but, yeah, it's got everything. And then what I'll do when the post RV, I will just add the new trust and put those numbers in there and just add another column.
Okay.
And,
I have a question. When does an individual find a bank money manager that will know what you have but will not let anybody use it for trading purposes? Where do we get this at Wells Fargo, or do we get this at the exchange, or how's it going to go?
Well, I would say that at the exchange, they're going to ask you to come back in a few days, and they're going to want you to pick a wealth managing company, is what I've been hearing. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. So if I'm going to pick a wealth managing company, I'm going to have a wealth managing company. I'll pick one, possibly the one with Wells Fargo. I can't remember the name of it right now, but there's one there that they use, Abbott Downing. Abbott Downing is the one they use. I'm going to interview a bunch of them. Now, just because I choose one right now doesn't mean I'm going to stay with them, because I don't have enough information to make an intelligent decision on which is the best one to have. So I'll get one temporarily. If they work out fine, if they don't, that's okay. I can change them out. But the wealth managing team, they'll do what you want them to do. I'm sure there's going to be a list of services and what they charge for all these services, and it'll probably be a la carte. You can pick what you want.
Okay.
And it should be fairly straightforward when you get there. And then I'm not going to That's for sure. Definitely I can try and do this by myself.
Well, okay, those are my questions. Thank you very much, Jim. Appreciate that. Carol, thank you so much. Definitely.
You're welcome. Thanks for calling, Werrell.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, Muhammad, how are you today?
Hello, how you all doing?
Good, thank you. What's on your mind?
I'm doing good. My question is, I received my trust and got my other paperwork in yesterday, and I'm going to the notary in just a little bit to have all this stuff done. And my main question was, do we sign this in blue ink or black ink, or it don't make any difference?
I would say blue ink because you want to be able to.
I would agree.
Yeah. So I always use blue ink. I love these pens called Tool, T-U-L, and they flow real well. And I take them when I go to do a trust. I take my pens with me. I take 2 of these blue or 3 of these blue ink pens, and I make sure everybody's using blue ink. And I want to be able to see what my originals are. Now, if you make a photocopy, if you have a color copier, well, you'll have to figure out if it's a copy or not. But I don't have a color copier. I don't use it intentionally. I want to be able to see the blue from the black.
Okay, that's what I want to make sure. So I definitely have some brand new blue ink pens. My second question is, Carolyn, I was looking, as I was reading again this morning, it said that I'm supposed to receive a shipping notice and join your private website one-time invite code. I looked through my email and I didn't see where I had received that at. I guess it's one-time invite code. That's to go on indicatedinformation.com. Huh?
Yeah, I sent you an email when I sent you your trust, and it should be on there. If not, just send me, drop me an email at the end of this call, and I will make sure you get it. Okay?
Okay then. Yeah, I was looking through my email just before I called in, and I said, well, I didn't see that. Maybe I just overlooked it, or maybe I wasn't thinking about the name or something. Okay. My next question is, I got where everything, who you're supposed to sign, whatever, too. I guess maybe once I can understand a little bit better about the trust certificates. Now, the trust certificates is listed where the creator signs it, but I'm lost from that point on. It's one with 50 trust units in each one. Well, maybe I should ask the question, what are they for?
They're basically evidence of the exchange. Go ahead, Jim.
No, I was going to say the same thing. They're evidence of the exchange, and that proves that you exchanged something, and now you have beneficial interest in the trust, and you have the right to do certain things. So they're not stock certificates. They're just certificates of beneficial interest that you can break them down into 40 units for you and 40 units for your wife and 10 for 2 kids. Whatever you want to do, you can break them down. That's why we send you a sample certificate with the certificate so that you can put on the platen of your computer. And we also have on our website the stock number of the certificates, and you can buy them on Amazon. And they're about $10 or $8, whatever it is, for 20 of them or 15 of them, I think it is. And you just order those, and you can reissue them.
Okay, so this would give, if I wanted to reissue to anybody, say just say my 4 kids and divide it up equally, do that mean that they would end up with equal shares in the trust?
That's up to you. However you want to divvy up the certificates. I mean,
yes, that's what I'm saying. If I took it and just divided, just say, whatever percentage I gave each one, if I gave each one of them 20% and 10% or whatever, that means that they have that percentage interest in the trust. That's what I'm asking.
That's correct. That is correct.
Okay, so
it also means, Mohammed, that if you decide to make a distribution, let's say you think the trust has got a lot of extra money in it, you're going to make a distribution. They're all going to get their share of that distribution. So let's decide. Okay. Let's say you're going to distribute $100,000, each kid will get $20,000. But it doesn't mean they get 20% of the whole trust.
Okay. Okay, only the amount that I desire that I want to distribute.
Exactly. Now, there's a whole section in the trust about the certificates and what they're for. I really suggest everybody read that carefully because we get a lot of questions about certificates lately. Would you agree, Jim?
I would agree. You know, the trust itself is only 10 pages long, and it's just a great education if you just read it. I have people, some of my clients are, they read it 5, 6, 7 times, you know, to really get to the point where they understand it, and they call me with questions, great questions, because I can always tell when they've read the trust, because the questions are very specific. And I highly recommend everybody just, you know, get a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, a beer, a glass of wine, whatever, and just sit down and read it 2 or 3 or 4 times. Just really internalize what that document says. I mean, folks, this thing's been to the Supreme Court. It's a history lesson in contract law. It really, really is. So highly recommend everybody just take the time and read it.
Okay, I definitely will. I mean, I've already, this is my second time reading it now, and I like I said, I will go over as much as possible to, and then I'll write some questions down too that I 9 times out of 10 will have to ask. So those are my questions. All right, I appreciate it. Thank you. Y'all have a good day.
Thanks, Muhammad. Thank you. Bye. Blair, thanks for patiently waiting. What's up?
Well, thank you, Carol. Jim, nice to talk to you this morning. First of all, I just want to say that between the website, these calls, and your personal service, it's quite a value to your trust package, more than the other ones I looked at. Really want to tell you how much I appreciate that. My question will follow on with the trust certificates. I'm also trying to reread the trust itself and figure it out. It's kind of such a bizarre notion from what we're used to thinking. It's like trying to transition into a gold-backed society from a debt society where they make money out of thin air. You know, it just takes a while to kind of get your head around it. But the trust certificates, when the creator exchanges the $21 and the 100 certificates, he's doing that in exchange for property. The Schedule A, which is the $100 plus the business/personal property that you've listed. Can you come back later and add more property to that motherlode trust?
Well, that's a good question. Technically, no. But there are some ways that you can do it. You can borrow it and then pay it off. But technically, once it's set up, it's set up. Carol, do you have any suggestions on how to do that?
The only thing that we have done in the past, Blair, throughout the years, people have purchased additional currency, and we just have them write a minute that the trustee purchased additional currency on behalf of the trust organization. But let's say you sell a piece of property that you currently own, and then you want to put that money in your motherlode trust. That's a tough way. That's tough. As Jim said, this is a fixed, irrevocable investment.
Okay.
So you don't typically add to it or subtract to it unless it's in the best interest of the trust.
Okay. Now on that page where it had the initial property that was put in the trust, like I just had dinars listed, but I've gotten some more currency since then. Can I pencil in that change at this time?
You're not going to put it on the schedules. The schedules stay exactly as they are, except for Schedule C, which talks about certificates. But as I said, we have suggested over the years that people just write a minute that the trustee purchased additional currency on behalf of the trust organization.
Okay. So
the schedules stay the way they are.
Okay. No pencil in additions. And so I can do a minute that will actually add the property to the initial Schedule A is what it was, and say that in addition to we leave it as a blank number of dinars because we don't know how it's going to get counted and everything. But I could come in with a minute after that and say, also I've got some Dong and some Zim or whatever.
The trustee purchase additional currency on behalf of the trust.
Okay. Okay. And when I want to just give money, say, to my kids, the trustee is supposed to be operating the trust for the benefit of the trust. How can I just give money if I want to just give money? And I guess the question is can I give more money than what the trust is making, so the trust is actually showing a loss because I'm giving away so much? Then it looks like I'm not operating the trust for the benefit of the trust because I'm losing money every year because I'm giving away more than my income.
Oh,
Jim, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I'm thinking it through here real quick. It can be done. There's nothing in any law that says that you can't spend everything in that trust. But when you get down to the last dollar, hopefully that's your 25th year and it's over with anyway. But there's various ways to do this. It's very technical. You got to be very, very careful because we are under a contract to do certain things. And you can spend more, spend it all if you want. It's up to you, as long as it's benefiting the trust. So if you're spending the money out of the trust and you're giving it, you're having annual what's the word I want? You're paying your kids annually. Thank you. That's the word. Distribution. If you're doing an annual distribution and you run out of money, well, I don't know. That's not in the best interest of the trust. So then you're somewhat in violation of how the trust was created. So you have to be very careful about this stuff, That's why we have management trusts, real estate trusts, we have automobile trusts. So they are the ones that will be pulling the money off of the management or off of the mother-lode trust for the benefit of the trust. You can do it. You just got to be really, really careful, and you got to structure it where it's fully in compliance with the wishes of the trust. Remember, this is a kind of like a living, breathing instrument. It's going to be around for a while. So,
it brings me to the next question. The only way that this really gets scrutinized is through the forms, which hopefully go away with the IRS. But right now, if I either receive money by putting in the property, which was the earlier question, which you say is really not something I may be able to do, how would I show that as on a trust 1041 form? Would that be income that you'd have to declare? Would it be a gift that you maybe declare on the giver?
No. If the mother-lode trust creates another trust, it has the obligation to fund the trust. And, you get to figure out how much it wants to fund it. If the house is $1 million house, you have to have at least $1 million in there. So you can fund the trust from the mother-lode trust. So you could fund your real estate trust, you fund your automobile trust, you actually fund the management trust. A little money in there for it to operate. It has the right and obligation to fund those that it creates. And there's never going to be a question about that. I mean, that's how the law is written. So I don't think you have an issue with that. If you're going to create a trust for a house, you got to put the right amount of money in there. Now remember, we didn't really go into too much detail in this because we're going to have to write this paper, Carol. We have to finish that up.
Yeah.
On this, like we don't have enough to do, right?
Exactly.
How this thing works. Certain beneficial interest has to be exchanged between the mother-lode and the real estate and all that. We have to get that stuff written and be on the website. We've been working on these contracts, doing the resolutions, linking them all together, figuring out how to best do it, looking at a lot of the history of how this works, double-checking all of our information on the structure to make sure it's viable and that all the trusts benefit from it, not just one. So we're working on this right now. It's going to be a little bit of a learning curve for a lot of people because we're getting into some pretty complex stuff here, which is great. I mean, I love it. But we got to get it to where the average individual can understand it without, like I've been joking, say this isn't rocket surgeon or brain science. It's got to be simple. The average individual's got to be able to understand it, and then writing that stuff and then having them understand it. We're in a transition. We're going from, like you had mentioned, we're going from a fiat-based currency to a actual money-based situation. We won't be using fiat currency here shortly. So it's going to be different. It's going to be a lot different. You have to look at things differently nowadays. There'll be no debt. You won't have debt instruments. In other words, when you use a Federal Reserve note to buy something, you actually didn't buy it. The Federal Reserve bought it. They own it, technically. You may use it, but they technically own it. So when you buy something with the new currency that's getting ready to come out, the trust owns it. And if you use the gold-backed currency personally, well, then you own it. So it's going to be a very interesting change. And when people start realizing we're going through this, there's going to be a lot of questions. And we're going to have to get some answers. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I keep having those problems.
We're going to have to re-educate all the bankers. Yeah. That's going to be fun.
Well, I'm having to re-educate myself in the trust world because, I've had businesses before and I've had stocks and investments before, but I can't think in those terms with the trust because it doesn't seem to work because, for instance, and I'll turn this into a question. When your mother-lode trust funds another trust, it sends money to that trust that has to fund it. But does that other trust then fill out a tax form that says that it received that income as income?
No, it's not income.
No.
So that doesn't fit anything I've ever. It doesn't fit anything I've ever done before. That's.
I know. It's actually a disbursement that is an obligation. When the mother-lode trust has an obligation to fund the trust that it created, it can't. Think of it this way: you got to feed the kid, right? Every parent has to feed their children. Well, same thing with the mother-lode trust. It has to feed the children. It has to feed its baby trust. So it has to give it sustenance. And then you have to register how you did that, and yada, yada, yada. Register in your own bookwork, not with the government. And it's just a change of it's a paradigm shift in our thinking. And I've embraced it for years. I really enjoy doing business the way I do business. I don't do business normally the way everybody else does. I just do it the way I do it. And it's easier once you get it figured out and placed in your head where you understand it. It's easier to do business with a trust than any corporation out there. You don't have the paperwork, and it's private. Mm-hmm. And you don't give a crap what everybody says or thinks. It's none of their business.
and you're not you're not really concerned with profit or loss. Every subtrust is really going to be a money loser.
Well, they're buying things, and so if you buy real estate, technically real estate should go up, and technically cars will go down in value, and so you have to be aware that there's a finite amount of money for doing whatever you're going to do, unless you're making money on the asset, like the house, and then you can sell the house, and then you can use the profit to go buy a bigger house. I'll just reinvest it properly. So it's a fun thing.
Hopefully it all goes away when the IRS goes away.
Let's hope so.
Yeah. Our good friend Jay Werelius used to always call the IRS the virus.
The virus. My husband, my late husband.
And there is no vaccine for it.
Yeah, that's true.
Actually, there is.
There is a vaccine, but I'd say there is a vaccine, but it'll kill you.
Yeah, that's it.
The vaccine for the virus is the common law, and yes, it will kill the virus.
Yes, eventually.
Yeah, come on, common law. We're ready. Yeah. Last thing is just a comment, Jim. I take it with a grain of salt, but I'm looking for an airplane also, and I did find somebody with instructions on how to put an airplane in a trust. but the requirements are pretty onerous. You have to file with the FAA and send them a copy of the trust and send them the background of all the trustees, and it's almost like doing background checks. So you can put it in a trust, but you really got to lose all your privacy. So it may not be worth it.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole idea of the aircraft is when they fly out of the sky, they got to be able to hold somebody accountable. Yeah. And if you hide it in a trust or you hide it in a corporation, who's accountable? That's why, even the CEOs of some of these major airlines can get arrested if they don't have their company in order when something goes wrong like that. So, it's owning a small airline years ago. I was very nervous about that. Responsibility. Oh my gosh. But yeah, probably what the trust is they're talking about would be a revocable trust for estate planning only, which a contract trust probably wouldn't qualify because there is no ownership. So we'd have to really look at that. I mean, that paperwork anyway.
It did say they required a full copy of all the trust documents to be sent to the FAA for valuation. So I kind of wrote it off right there. I think I remember some of the aircraft I flew, I think, were the owners were a trust in the operating certificate, but I think I remember that.
Well,
anyway.
It could be, but I don't think our trust would qualify because it's not transparent enough and you can't yank the asset out. Yeah, where if it's in a living trust, they can yank the asset out and then hold you personally liable for it. So, but I'd like to see that paperwork.
Yeah. Well, thanks for the help. I appreciate it, you guys.
All right. Have a great day, Blair.
All right. Thank you, too.
Well, Jim, we've got a few more. Are you up for it?
Sure. Why not?
Okay. Hey, Sharon.
Well, I had to shut the phone off to figure out how. I kept pushing 6, but I didn't know I had to push the star first.
Well, you finally got through. What's on your mind?
So, as to the certificate things, I'll talk to you about that later because we got at least 3 of them that I don't understand. But basically, I got to be honest, and I've listened, and it's like for somebody like me who has no legal understanding, most of what Jim is saying could just as well be in Swahili, and I'm just about ready to tear up my trust and say, I don't know how to start, so I just got to go to the bank. So what, because they got me, I'm 79, Roy's 75, I've got several other people, we've been in this 10, 12 years, and literally, I just want to hang up the phone and bawl. It's complicated. So what advice can you give me?
Well, when you go to see the wealth managers, that's their job is to manage all this stuff. They'll understand the trust. If they don't understand it, they'll call us. They'll take care of it. That's the unique thing about what we're getting ready to go through. You're going to have wealth managers. You're going to have a team of people that's going to protect you and make sure you're doing everything right. It's not so much
my
you have
understanding was that nobody's supposed to know anything.
Well, you're going to have some wealth managers. They're going to have to know something about what's going on to manage your money. You're not going to be able to manage millions and millions and millions of dollars by yourself. That's
I understand that, but just to figure out how the heck one of these trusts works, it's just like there's this and there's this and there's this, and I don't know what this word means. I don't know what that term means, and I don't know what that concept means. And I said, well, look it up and read it, and read the trust again. And I read it, and after the 3rd page, I'm just saying, it's like every other word is written in Spanish and that in Swiss and Russian. I do not understand the terminology to know how to start.
Well, you're going to have to find somebody that can do that. If you can't.
But nobody knows how. I have to have a lawyer that understands this kind of a trust, and they don't.
The attorneys don't understand anything. The attorneys are useless. They're a waste of
oxygen. Because it's just common law, remember?
Yeah. So you're going to, the wealth managing company, because we're all going to go to common law. All the banks can be gone. They won't be doing banking as you understand it anymore. Everything is changing. The world we lived in is going away. The world we're walking into is much better, and there's going to be a transition mental transition for a lot of people. It's going to be confusing initially, but you'll have professionals to help you. That's what wealth managing companies do. They'll understand the trust. There are clients out there that have millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. They use these wealth managers, and they haven't a clue how much money you have or what they do. They just tell the wealth manager, kind of like a concierge company. If you want to go to fly from here, wherever you're at, to Florida, and you want to stay at a nice hotel, you call your wealth manager. Say, look, book me a flight. I want to go there. I want to fly first class. I want to go to this hotel. I want to be there for 5 days. Then I'm going to go here, get me a car for that. And then I'm going to go and meet my friends at dinner, so give me reservations there. That's their job. That's what you're paying them
But
for.
how do I find somebody, the way I'm understanding this, very few people understand the workings of these trusts. And my nephew is a lawyer, and he just poo-poo-poos it and tells my brother, don't even think about that silly thing Sharon's talking about. That's a lawyer opinion. So you just said there's no lawyers out there that really do this. So where do we start to just find someone who can start to walk us through it?
Again, you're going to have a wealth manager that's going to take care of that stuff when you go through the revaluation of your currencies. They will know how to manage this. Attorneys, don't get me started on attorneys. I have cousins that are attorneys. They're absolutely useless. I argue with them all the time, and I show them the court cases. Well, that court case was back in the 1800s. It's still standing. So I don't like attorneys. They're full of themselves. Besides, they don't work for America. They're a member of the barrister. The bar is Barrister Accredited Registry. It's out of England. That's why they use Esquire in their names, because they're foreign agents. So you don't trust any of those people. I don't care who they are, and I don't care if they like it or don't like it. The facts are the facts. So what you're going to end up doing is using a wealth managing company that will be designed and educated on how to do these. These trusts are phenomenal documents for protection. You'll never find anything like it. Now,
so
understanding it and understanding do what?
Where do these bank people get the education? So if I went in and said, I've got this thing, and they look at it and say, what's that? Where do they find out how to know how to manage it?
They will know. They're being trained as we speak. They will know how to handle this. They're very expensive. It costs you between $25,000 to $50,000 a year just for the wealth managing team. But they'll take care of everything. It's just an expense. It's not a process that you have to worry about. It will be taken care of for you. And don't sweat over the little details on the trust. If you don't understand it, we'll help you out. There's going to be plenty of people out there that know what to do. We're talking about a paradigm shift here in consciousness, especially when it comes to money. You're not going to be able to understand most of what's going on. So, it's just, that's what professionals are for. I mean, you hire an attorney when you got to go sue somebody or protect yourself from a lawsuit. That's the only thing they're good for. They don't do estate planning. They don't have a clue. Remember, I deal with them all the time. So, don't like any of them. But that's just my opinion. I think that you're overstressing on this stuff.
I think so, too.
Well, all that I've heard today is cautions of this and put this in this one and do this and this one and this has to follow this rules and this minute has to go. And how else would you not when you don't know a diddly doot about what you're talking about?
Well, Sharon,
Go ahead.
Yeah, you have professionals. And we have a wealth of information on the website. And I know that you and Roy and the other people in your group have been involved in this a long, long time. But I agree with Jim. I think you're overstressing. You need to relax. The people that you hire as wealth managers are going to be versed in this. And their job is to help you. That is their job. So you pay them $50,000 a year. It's well worth it because you won't have to worry about it. None of us in this group, the people on this call, Jim, myself, none of the people that I speak with anyway, have any inkling whatsoever or any idea that they're going to handle all this money on their own. None of us are prepared for this. And we could make you prepared as far as getting trusts in place and teaching you about the trust, but nobody can prepare you about this kind of money. So for many of us, this is just walking into totally unknown territory. You have the structure that you need to protect your assets. That is number one. You've done the right thing. When you exchange, they will probably assign you or direct you to certain wealth managers. Unfortunately, we can't find them now because they'll ask you where's the source of your money. You're going to tell them dinar. They say bye.
Yeah.
But after this exchange occurs, they obviously will have to. What's the word I want? They will obviously know about it. So they're not going to poo-poo it anymore because they know about it. They know about it now, but they can't discuss it. So once this occurs, you find yourself a good wealth manager. If you don't like Joe from ABC Company, you might like John from XYZ Company. As Jim said, you're going to start with one, but if you don't like him, you can find somebody else. So as I said, I totally agree with Jim. You're overstressing, and I understand that, and I understand your questions from yesterday. And let's you and I talk or email later, okay?
All right.
So
let me leave this thought. Whatever. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Jim.
Okay.
All right. I was going to say
what
that.
Started this, Carol, was when I found out that my trust only asked for $10 and I can't find the certificate. And then I started looking through and through. So that's the first issue I got to deal with, correct?
I don't know why you don't have your certificate. I don't know why you don't have your certificates that came with your trust.
Okay, well,
but I can Sharon, it's not an issue. I can fix all that. It's not an issue.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Jim, you had something to add?
Yeah, I've got some clients that are extremely wealthy. Most of you know I have my own company. I'm retired from it. I don't do it that much anymore. I just work with Carol. She's a lot easier to work with than some of those other people, trust me. I have clients that have these trusts. They have 7, 8, 9 of them. And they have wealth managers. They understand it. Wealth managers know it. They understand it. They never have a problem. I mean, not too long ago, I was invited to go for a nice flight in a small jet, which I did. There's a client of mine showed up in town and was going to go to Sun River for lunch, invited me along. Sure. It's gone about 3 hours, flew over, had lunch, flew back. Not a big deal. I mean, these people have these assets. They deal with them every day. They don't have a problem. So, and I understand Sharon's questions. I really, really do. And I know she's having a tough time with it right now, but we'll be coached. We will have professionals helping us. We can't get stressed now and make a mistake and then ruin our future. You just need to realize that this is a one-time deal. You know, this exchange. We'll never see it again. It's never been done in the history of the history of the world that we know of.
I guess my misunderstanding is I didn't understand that a wealth manager would know a diddly-doot more than a lawyer would. And so I didn't think anybody knew anything much about this except a couple people, you and one other person on the Internet actually spoke of this thing. And nobody else knows about them. You talk to them and they think you're crazy.
Well, and, I understand that and because I've been doing this for years and years and years. And every time I talk to somebody, it's brand new. I mean, to them, they have never even heard of it. But there are groups right now. I mean, I have clients that fly around in jets and got boats and, multi-million-dollar houses, multi-million-dollar companies. They are using these trusts. They're bankers, Wells Fargo Bank. I have no problem. We've opened probably over 100 accounts with Wells Fargo with these trusts. They never have a problem with them. And the wealth manager, Abbott Downing, I know for a fact, they understand these trusts. I know for a fact because I talked to one of them. I've been invited down to here in Salem, Oregon, to the wealth managers, and I've had lunch with them. I was a guest speaker, of all things.
Oh, actually, I'm up in Longview, so Salem isn't too far away.
Yeah, that's true. So
anyway,
they understand. They know about these.
Okay. Well, that was the misunderstanding that I was under the impression that nobody out there yet knew about these things, and so if they didn't, and they didn't know, then we were really in the dark.
No. There's companies out there that fully know these things. I know that Abbott Downing has got a copy of this trust. I know for a fact because one of the guys talked to me about it. So I don't know where they got it. I didn't ask the question because he didn't want to mention it, but I know they've seen the trust. They fully understand it. They're being retrained now. Some of them are being retrained for common law. We're going away from the statutory law. We're going to go directly to common law. So all the attorneys have to be retrained. A lot of them won't be able to make the transition, but that's okay. We're here. We'll work with you.
And Sharon, on a sort of personal note, it would be disingenuous of us to sell you a trust that absolutely nobody could understand. Jim and I got into this business a year apart from each other. We didn't even know each other. We met, 5 or 6 years, Jim, after Jay and I created Indicator, something like that?
Yeah,
but
I think it was 95, 6, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. And we started in 92. The whole idea behind wanting to do this is like so many other people. And so what they want to do, we just want to help people. We happen to be blessed with a certain amount of knowledge of things that we found out, and we're trying to share it, trying to make life easier for people, not more difficult. It would be just disingenuous of us to sell you something you couldn't use.
And let me add
people
something to that.
Somehow found me, and I keep sending their information. I tell them that these people can be trusted, and they're honest, and they are legitimate, and please look into it, whether they contact you or not. But anyway, I agree with you on that. It was just that listening to the technicality of the details kind of overwhelming.
Well, I understand that. But that's to be expected. But we're here for you. We'll help you. And when the RV finally happens, your wealth manager will be there. Also look at it from this point of view. And this is going to be strange, but Blair was on the phone a few minutes ago, and I happen to know Blair's past. And Blair and I both have a little common where we flew airplanes. You don't have any idea how that airplane flies. You have no idea what it takes to get that thing off the ground and back on the ground. But it's done every day. It's done 5,000 or 6,000 times a day. And they don't crash very often. Same with this document. Very few people understand it, but they all use it. I'm trying to find analogies to make it simpler to understand. It's not going to be hard for you to live within the confines of the trust because you're not going to have to worry about it. Your wealth managing company will do all the work for you. They'll do the heavy lifting. They'll do all the heavy lifting. All you got to do is take that little piece of plastic and go have some fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, Sharon. Call me when you need me, hon. Bye-bye.
Sharon, if you need to talk to me, you can get hold of me also.
Okay. You're going to give out your contact information shortly. We've got 3 more. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Veronica. No, I missed Veronica. Cynthia?
Yeah.
There you are. Hello.
I'm here. Wow, that was, I feel like Carol does. So much to learn here. So wealth manager, are you saying whichever bank you use, you need to ask to talk with that wealth manager, or are you talking about, like we know financial planners, we have a friend from church that's a very successful financial planner. Is that a wealth manager, or?
Depends on what he does. Wealth management and a planner are 2 different things. Wealth management is a company. It's a group of people. They look at every aspect of your desires. Okay, how many houses do you want? Where do you want them? What kind of transportation are you going to have? How many vacations are you going to go? What do you need to buy? They take care of all that. They're more of a concierge system where if you want to travel, you just call and tell them, okay, and they'll make all the arrangements. And they charge a lot of money, but they're worth it. And
so I understood you to say the Redemption Center would recommend wealth managers.
Yes, they will have a list of them to interview. Do what?
Say that again.
To our understanding, yes, they will be able to direct you to certain wealth managers, yes.
And you can trust.
Yeah, they will.
That.
They will have a list of people for you to interview. They should be some of them at the meeting. If not, they're going to refer us over to them before the next meeting with the bank. They need to make sure we are.
Those meetings going to be throughout the United States and all the communities, or?
I don't know. I would imagine. I mean, we have an Abbott Downing office here in Salem. They have two of them in Portland that I know of, one in Beaverton, one in downtown Portland. So they're everywhere. I mean, you can look on the internet and find that there's a dozen different companies that do this.
Okay, then I'd like to go back to that about the $5,000. That it sounded like the only thing you'll be able to walk out of the financial institution initially is with $5,000, or did I misunderstand that?
I have heard that. I have heard up to $10,000 over the years. I've also heard recently you won't have any cash leaving, but you will have a loaded credit card. It's like up to 2% of the value that you're exchanging, 1 or 2%. That again, who knows? Nobody's been there yet.
Okay, and then, you and I, Carol, talked this week about the hours and hours and hours I've logged listening to supposed gurus. You listen to them for 2 or 3 hours, and you get about 10 minutes of information. And a number of them have said, do not sign anything. And yet I hear you referring to all these words that we should not use after we've signed something. So what is it we're going to sign, and is it required?
From what we understand, you are going to be required to sign an NDA, a non-disclosure. And you're going to have to do that initially. So what we've heard recently about making your appointment, you're going to somehow get an 800 number. When you call to make your 800 number, to get your 800 number appointment, you will be obligated to sign some kind of NDA then. Now, how you do that over the telephone, I don't know how they figure that out, but that's what I'm hearing. And you will also, from what I understand, have to sign another NDA when you get there. I don't think that is negotiable.
And what is it you're agreeing not to disclose?
Anything. Like I said before on these calls, there's certain words you cannot say for at least 90 days. It might be longer than that, but you cannot talk about this global currency reset to anybody. Even if you know your next door neighbor also has currency and is also exchange, you can't sit there and talk about what rate you got, et cetera, et cetera. You can't talk about it. You have to come up with some kind of euphemism of where this money came from, because people are going to know you got money. Well, I had an investment that paid off. We had some bonds we bought that finally paid off. I got an inheritance, whatever. You cannot say anything about this global currency reset. Jim, is that your understanding as well?
It is, but, it's changed every week. They change it. Of course, you have to understand that we're dealing with supposed gurus that are legend in their own minds. And,
exactly.
And she spent a lot of time with them.
I know. Half the time that they'll change it, when you challenge them, they'll change everything. I've done that a few times, these poor gurus. They don't like me on their calls. I ask the tough questions. And, I've had them actually throw me off the call a couple times. I just don't let them get away with anything. Okay, you're saying this, but what about this? But, you said this over here. Now you're saying this. Which is it? Is it that or is it that? They get mad and hang me up. We don't know what's going to happen until we get there. That's the problem. It's right now. If this is the best kept worst secret out there.
Well, I've already gone to. Like Carol. I mean, if you go to an attorney, or you go to. I did go to a friend that's a bank president back in June. and I made the appointment saying I was getting a inheritance. Well, of course, he legally needed to ask me about where the inheritance was coming from. And because he and his wife are personal friends, I said, well, it's not, it's not really an inheritance. It's foreign currency. And he just looked at me like I had two heads. So he did say, anything else you want to talk about, we can talk about it. But like her, I think I'm a little more educated, although now I'm realizing, listening to the two of you, that much of what I've spent all this time supposedly learning, I probably have to throw out. So, one of my friends that I recommended, they call you as well. I mean, we were thinking about paying off our mortgage, like, pulling out money to pay off mortgages or pay any debt or anything like that. And yet with Miss Sarah coming, that's a whole other ingredient that it sounds like they may do that anyway. But the difference is that if the government pays it off, then you are signing over ownership, right? You no longer own your property. Is that right?
No. What they're going to do is, we're not supposed to have a debt. It's actually unethical, immoral, and illegal to have a debt. We're not supposed to have debt. This was a ruse to steal your labor.
Exactly.
So what they have to do is they got to give you back your right. They stole it. They stole your right. They're going to give it back to you. And they're going to do it in such a way they're going to wipe out your debts. And I understand it from a fairly reliable source that every dime you ever spent to the IRS, you're going to get back.
I've heard that as well as interest paid.
Yep.
Yeah, I know it's all connected with 1871, the U.S. corporation thing. I've done some research on that, and then I've been hearing about, whatever the 6-digit number with a letter in front of it on our original birth certificate, then connected, which is a routing number apparently, and then our bank account number, so to speak, is our Social Security number. And there's all, depending on how old you are, there could be billions in that or millions.
Well,
and they have to pay that back. So you're like, but
well, it is a cleaning of the planet. This first thing you got to do is establish everybody's sovereignty again. That's part of the cleaning. When they establish the sovereignty of every individual, they have to give back all of the things they stole from you. When you go to court and somebody steals from you, you get your judgment, they got to give it back. That's basically what we're looking at.
So everybody, including all of our family members, are going to benefit from this.
Oh, absolutely.
Everybody's going to benefit from this.
There's not enough money.
Worldwide. We just happen to have been able to be blessed and find out a little bit before everybody else, and we are able to buy certain currencies that nobody recognized had a future value. That's the only real change between them and us. It was when President Bush was trying to arrange for all of his crony friends to get all this money. He happened to put it in an executive order, and somebody figured it out. And here we stand today. And if it had been for that, we probably wouldn't even know about this currency deal.
We weren't supposed to know about it.
No, we weren't.
Right. Okay, so
now
I'm going to... Oh, I'm sorry. So let me see if I understand some of this correctly. So the Mother Lode Trust that you're writing for us, that's an entity within itself. And when this happens, then I will be taking whatever currency I cash at that point and depositing it into the Mother Lode Trust, which Ray and I will have, we're the trustees over it. Now, when I decide to, because some of the things are saying it's going to exchange at a 1-to-1 rate, and then it'll probably increase to 3, somewhere to 3 to 5. Some are saying it'll be at 3.5. Everybody's saying different things. So it sounds logical to me to do some at 1-to-1 if that truly is what it is, and take the trust after it's notarized and put it into whatever bank account I put the trust in. Or put, now, then if it does accelerate into 3-to-1, cash in more. Do you just continue to put, you're not having to do a separate trust for every deposit you make of currency that you exchange, do you? It can go into the one mother load.
No.
No?
No. Because it's already established trust. You can't add to it.
Oh,
so
okay.
You'd have to do another trust.
So you'd have to do another mother load trust?
Well, first off, I would suggest that everybody, when the exchange happens, exchange it all. Take what you can get, and don't bank on the future. Bank on what you have in your hand. So when I go in there, I'm going to go in and exchange everything I got. Every currency I've got is going to go into the mother load trust. I'm going to exchange it all. I'm just going to go ahead and do it.
Are you thinking the dong and all of them are going to reevaluate at the same time?
Well, it's the first basket, yes.
Mm-hmm.
The first basket's got 20-some-odd currencies, including the Chinese yuan and some other things. But, yeah, all the ones that we've been purchasing are in this first basket. Now, there'll be other baskets.
And you think it's all going to reevaluate at the same time?
Well, the first basket will. And then the rumor is that we'll have 2 or 3 more baskets in a year or two. Now, I don't know how that's going to work, but that's what I hear. Don't know if I really believe that. I think it's going to go, boom, here it is. This is all you get.
Me
now,
too. I agree.
There are rumors that you get 1 shot at this. You don't get 2 shots. In other words, if you're going to go in and exchange, you exchange it all at once. You can't go back in. You can't double dip. So, in other words, they don't want you to go cash in and go buy some more currency. Well, that'd be futile because the currency's up in value. You couldn't buy anything anyway, unless it's another foreign currency that's not part of the basket. And I don't know how they'll govern that either. So, just, dump it all in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dump it all in there. All of my currency is going to go with me when I go. And I'm just going to exchange it all. Whatever they give me, I'm going to take because it's more than I got right now.
You have a point, Jim.
Yeah. So I'm just going to take it.
What if you do it too early?
What do you mean too early?
It goes up some more.
Well, that's what he's saying. You just need to kind of.
If you want
to, we have to take our chances. We just have to take our chances.
Yeah, and you could wait a week or 2 or 3 and wait, but you can't exchange twice. So if you go in there to exchange, as I understand it, it's got to be all or nothing, because they're not going to let you come back. Now that's just what we hear. Now let's think about this logically. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, I've traveled all over the world. I used to, back and forth the islands. When I'd be down in the Bahamas, I'd come back and I would exchange the currency back at Wells Fargo. And they didn't charge me any taxes. Sometimes the currency went up. Sometimes the currency went down. So the rules that they're creating, really, if you think about it, don't make a lot of sense. But we're stuck with this from what we've been hearing. We're stuck with what we know. And I've said many times that we don't know what we don't know. Until we go there or talk to somebody, we just don't know. But if they're not going to let us do a double dip, in other words, you can't cash in more than once, wait a couple weeks. See if the rate goes up. It's going to probably go up or down. We just don't know. There's no way to know, unfortunately. This is what the scariest part about this whole thing is. I've never heard anybody from the government talk about this.
So you can wait. I mean, you don't have to rush out. Like, let's say it happens tomorrow, and you don't have to rush out next week. You could wait you could wait a week or something.
Well, technically and lawfully, as I understand it and I've read it, whenever a country changes its currency, you're supposed to have 2 years to trade it in. That's a treaty amongst all countries. Now, whether it's going to be valid once we go through this huge change we're getting ready to go through, and that could be just thrown aside, I don't know. But you should have 2 years. Now, what they'll give you for that, I don't know, as far as currency exchange rate. But
and they're also saying that the ZIM is a bond, and we only have a very short time in which to redeem the bond.
Well,
what do you? I mean, okay. So the one person I most do not like to sit and listen to is Frank 26, because it's a 3 to 4 hour show, like he's a free ring circus guy, and and he's talking about, and he dresses like a clown, and I'm like, oh my God, it drives me crazy. But to get information, I've been listening, and he's saying 1-to-1, and then it will, by November, like 8 months, it could go up to, 5-to-1. But that would be very short-lived. You'd have to really pay attention, and it would be something you'd have to act on within a day or two. So he makes it sound like you should take some of it and do it 1-to-1, and then hold it. You need to know when to hold them and when to fold them, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not your understanding. Doesn't sound
it's
like.
Not. No.
Yeah, I agree.
The thing is, they don't want us to double dip. And what their biggest concern is you get some money, you go buy additional currency and wait for the higher rate. And there's rules and laws that say you can't do that. Now, I don't agree with that. I'm just saying that's what I hear. Again, we won't know until we get there. Yeah. We won't know until we get there.
I'm really angry at the moment because of all the hours I have listened to these people. Like, I've got carpal tunnel from taking notes for the past 2 years. I'm so glad I found you guys. I really am. I'm just really thankful.
Thank you.
I got a lot of homework to do. So I've been taking notes today. Thank you for everything. I'm going to organize them, and I'm going to write down some questions, and then if it's okay, I'll give you guys a call this week.
Call or email is usually best, but whatever.
Oh, okay. All right, I can do that.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
We're 2 hours now, and I have an appointment to go to here. I have a luncheon with Michael to go over my trust with him.
Oh, good. Okay. We do have a few more. There are repeat callers, but there's one here that's not a repeat, and I think you would like to speak with him. So here we go. Hey, Jim. Hello. 919? *6 to unmute yourself.
I'm sorry, I had it on mute. I wanted to just reiterate a couple of things. Having been in banking, a CFP, a Certified Financial Planner, is not a wealth manager. They are functioning as an aid to an attorney to get deeper into your head and your desires as to what you wish to do in the event of a death. And then they give it to the lawyer to put it into your will, trust, whatever. They are not wealth managers. And they will not have, most of them, and I can assure you, most bankers have no clue about what we're talking about. So you're not going to get good advice from them. Item 2, attorneys are going to have to be retrained in common law if they wish to proceed in the legal practice here in the United States. They will not be able to use ESQ after their name any longer. Jim nailed it on that situation. So attorneys don't have a clue what's going on. Most CPAs do not. And the last thing I kept hearing about the conversation of this regarding a lady and holding ZIM back or holding currencies back. My understanding from all the research that I have done is that the Zim redemption is for a limited period of time, and then its value will go to zero. You take all your Zim in at one time. You're advised to take it all in, as Jim and both you, Carol and Jim, have said. But the reality is that the currencies, the dong, the dinar, the yuan, the rupiah, all of these other currencies are tradable on Forex. Their values may or may not go up, but this is one of the best times to make your exchange. You're gambling if you're not careful with what it may do. What you think may go up may go down. That's all I got to say.
Mr.
All right,
Martin,
thank you so much.
Mr. Martin, you're a wealth of knowledge. Thank you for jumping in there, and we need to talk some more later. I want to pick your brain. Been warned.
Happy to do so. Talk with y'all later. You're certainly welcome.
All right, guys.
All right, thanks,
Jim.
All right.
That's a good
Well,
guy
as
there.
Jim mentioned, yeah, I know. That's why I thought you'd like to talk to him. Well, as Jim mentioned, it's well over 2 hours, and we do have a few more callers with the repeat callers. So, folks, whatever your questions are, just drop us an email. Email is much better than telephone because we both get kind of overwhelmed with the phone. So I think, Jim, if you'd like to give your contact info, then I'll give mine, and we can say goodbye.
All right. Jim Knox, KNOX. I'm not the other Jim. That's on.
No.
I had a couple people make that mistake recently. So I'm in Salem, Oregon temporarily. So I'm on the left coast. And right now it's 12:08 my time. So look at your clock, folks. Figure out how much, our time difference. And my number is, we'll just use my home numbers, 503. Let me get another number that I think I'm going to use instead. I'm sorry. Let's use 503-583-6791 or 866-341-6907. And I'm security at indicatorinformation.com. I work from 9 to 6, Monday through Friday. And occasionally when we have a weekend like this where we have a call, I will take calls occasionally. Depends on if I'm tied up or not. And, Carol, that's all I got to say. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Thank you. There you go. All right. Thanks so much, Jim, and you know how much I appreciate your help. So thank you to all of you for your time and attention. Wow, we've gone way over an extra hour today, so we must be doing something right, Jim. Anyway, excuse me, my name is Carol Werelius. My numbers are 425-820-8090 or 877-333-5018. I am available between 10 and 6, currently Central Time. At some point, I'm moving to Florida as well. The best way to reach me is by email, info@indicatorinformation.com. So have a happy and safe weekend, everybody, and go RV. We'll see what we see when it comes up. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.